Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Okay. How about if we begin on page 1? I know that this is a group of very dedicated Jewish people, because if you would come to services Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Simchas Torah, and you're still coming for Shabbat, you are what I consider loyal and authentic. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. You're Jewish? You're not going to let each other down. You're going to be a community at all times, huh? Adama v'shamayim chom ha'esh tzlir ha'mayim ani margish zavedu b'shmati. Everyone. Repeat after me. Love the earth, love the sky, heat of fire, sound of water. Together I can feel it in my body, in my spirit, in my soul. To guess why I start Shabbat sometimes with this song, when on the face of it, it has nothing to do with Shabbat. It doesn't mention Shabbat. What do you think is the reason? We know each other pretty well. What do you think is going on in my head that I want you to have a connection with this song? Aside from the fact that the melody is lovely, don't you agree? But in the words, what do these words have to do with this event? It gives you beautiful thoughts. Yeah, Helen, what were you going to say? It's what? Spiritual? Spiritual. Yeah, I think that that's true. What else? It's Yiddishkeit. That's true. Bertha, what were you going to say? That's right, that it mentions the sky, and we see the sky while we're takes exactly 3 seconds to smell a rose, right? So it really isn't about taking time out. It's not like, wow, I'm having a very busy day. I better take a drive for 3 hours to go find a rose to smell. That's not what it is, right? The idea of to take time out to smell the roses is actually more not about time, but about an outlook on life where you pause to inhale. You pause to recognize that the sky is a beautiful thing, right? I'm looking at you, you're looking at me. Are you going to remember sometime while you're out here to look up? And am I going to remember? Because as beautiful as all of you are, wow, look at that as well, right? So it's really an outlook, and I love this song because, the focus is on all these aspects of nature that are so beautiful and inspiring in terms of our lives. I totally agree. Rona said we're lucky to be able to do that. First of all, there are very few people who feel comfortable getting together to pray because they don't know if everyone's vaccinated, right? We are a built-in community. We can feel comfortable. Who gets to pray outside? We do. I mean, we're very, very fortunate. We really are. Any other comments? Okay, we're going to continue on the bottom of page 1 with Sabbath prayer.
She points here, you point there. Beautiful.
Doris, are you going to start us off? Join her. May you be deserving of praise. Strengthen them, O Lord. May God bless you and grant you long. May Hashem fulfill our Sabbath prayer for you. May God make you. May God send you husbands who will care for you. May Hashem protect and defend you. May Hashem preserve you from pain. Favor them, O Lord, with happiness and peace. Thank you, Doris. You're the only person I know who could sing that high. It's amazing. Let's continue on page 2. Page 2 is Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'Shalom, Boachem l'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeichem l'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We continue on page 3 with the lighting of the candles. Is there someone who'd like to say the blessing as I turn on the lights? Someone would like to lead it? Okay, Barbara, go ahead nice and loud. We all say amen. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 Shel Shabbat Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav B'mitzvotav vetzivanu lehadlik ner vetzivanu lehadlik ner vetzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Yasher Koach, is there someone who'd like to do the Kiddush? Lead us in the Kiddush? Helen, can you do it? That's fantastic. Go ahead. Do we have an extra mic or we don't? We do? Okay, maybe wait a second. We're going to pause for just a moment. Actually, while you do that, I'm going to pull this a little closer to me so I don't have to, okay? Ooh. Okay, great. Just need it a little closer.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei Priagav and
Amen. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzav b'hanu v'shabbat kodsho be'avahu v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'mahaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. L'chaim. Do our taper ladies want to lead us in Motzi? Motzi, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz, and we all say Amen. Now, why don't we do this? Let's all take a deep breath, tilt our heads back and look up into the gorgeous sky and make the Shema together nice and slow. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shoshana, will you please lead us in Ve'ahavta? Wait, can we bring the mic to Shoshana, please?
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך. והיו לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך
ובישעריך. Let's read the English. Good job. Let's read the English at the bottom of page 4. Love the eternal your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. At this time, I would like to make a blessing for all those who are in need of healing. Misha be'erach avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov imotenu sarv karachel v'leah. Hu yivarech v'rapeh et kol ha'chavarim shalanu b'kehilah shalanu Los Angeles Jewish Home. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, send your blessing of healing to all members of our community that are in need of healing. All of our residents that are in need of healing and their loved ones, all of our rehab patients that are in need of healing and their loved ones, all of our staff that is in need of healing and their loved ones, all of our volunteers that are in need of healing and their loved ones, that they should have a refuah shlema, a complete recovery of body and of spirit, along with all those among the people of Israel who are struggling for wholeness. And we say together, Amen. And now blessing for all of you. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha. May God's light shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God gaze upon you and everyone you love and worry about, and give all of you the blessing of shalom, of peace. Ken yiratzon, may it be God's will. Amen. Or in shorthand, it would be a blessing on your head. But if I say a blessing on your head, you're going to say mazel tov, mazel tov. Now we're going to take a moment to remember those who've passed. We had an opportunity Yisker just a little while ago, but for anyone whose yard site comes at this time of year, or who's in the first year of mourning, we make the Kaddish Prayer on page 5. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayachonu v'yomechonu v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'agalah v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach leolam u'almei almaya, yiparach b'ishtabach b'itpa'ar b'itramam b'itnaseh, b'itadar b'taleh b'talal shmei dekudasha b'richu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al Yisrael kol b'nei adam v'imru amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And we say, Amen. So in a moment we're going to continue on page 6, but I want to acknowledge that this week's Torah portion is called Breshit. Breshit means in the beginning, because this is the very first Torah portion since Simchat Torah just passed. We read the very end of the Torah. We rolled the Torah back to the beginning. We read the very beginning of the Torah. And so tomorrow's portion, or this Shabbat's portion, is Breshit. And this Torah portion is a very animated story. In other words, one could make a cartoon of it, and you could really picture it, right? There's nothing, there's chaos. God says, let there be light, there's darkness, and then all of the aspects of creation unfold in the next 6 days. What are some examples of what gets created? What gets created in those 6 days? The birds, the animals, what else? The food we eat, what else? Nice and loud. Humans, yes, exactly. And what day do the humans get created on? The 6th day, right? The last day of creation. But everything in nature, right? Everything green, the skies, the heavens, the stars, the moon, the sun, all of the plants and trees, the mountains, the insects, the creepy crawly things. Everything is created according to our tradition in 6 days. And then on the 7th day, what happens? God rests, and thus we have the creation of what holiday? Shabbat. Until this day, all these years later, after the Torah was given to us, or written, depending on how you see it, we still mark the 7th day as not just a day of rest, but as a holy day. As a holy day. And the highlight of the creation story is going to be the creation of the human being. Now, what's interesting about that is that much later in Jewish history, a couple thousand years later, the rabbis are going to debate the following question. It's a hard question. Get ready. The rabbis ask the question, is it good that human beings are here? Or would it have been better if human beings had never been created? That's a tough question. And remember, they asked this question before climate crisis and pollution and all the world issues, right? Melting glaciers. They didn't know from that. They were just making their judgment on what they could see, let's say, 1,800 years ago. So they were kind of voting and debating whether it's good that human beings were ever created. Now, before I ask your point of view on this, I want to point out that there are different views on this by different religions, right? Religions that believe in reincarnation, for example, like Hinduism and Buddhism, you know, they hope that you're going to do well in your life, and they believe that if you do well, if you do good, then even if things terrible happen to you, in your next round, you'll have a better chance, you know? And in religions, let's call them the Western religions that believe more in time as a kind of beginning and end point in life, you know, some religions believe that human beings were born as sinners, and that all you need to do in the course, what you have to do as a result of that in the course of your life is sort of repent and do good to make up for your real essence, which is that you're bad at heart, right? But you can save yourself through religious belief and religious practice and good deeds, right? Judaism, how you would spin this, and I can find you texts that argue all kinds of things, but if you just look at this week's Torah portion, just the simple reading, what we call in the tradition the pshat, meaning what you see is what you get without imposing analysis. Pshat translates as simple. It's the simple, pashut, just a simple reading of it. So the simple reading of it is that every day, at the end of the creation, it says, and God created this, and God created that, and it says, and God saw that it was good, right? Vayar Elohim ki tov. God saw that it was good. But on the sixth day, when God creates all the animals and then creates the human being, it actually says, Vayar Elohim ki tov me'od. It says that God saw that it was very good. So without a lot of philosophy and analysis, in the Torah at least, from that point of view of the sixth day of creation, the human being's onset into the universe is seen not just as mediocre. It's not a C. It's definitely not an F as a bad. It's not even a B or a B minus, like, it's good, you know. It's an A. It's tov me'od, it's very good. If you just look at the simple meaning of the text, and by simple I don't mean childlike, I mean plain without analysis, like what the actual text says without deconstructing and reconstructing an analysis. So, but then we get to the future, and we have rabbis who've had a chance to watch human beings behave for a while, and have asked the question, and in some ways the question is more, I'd say, almost painful or challenging than the answer. Even the fact that the rabbis would ask the question, I was taken aback when I came upon that text, because I said, I thought the rabbis believed in us. Would they have bothered all these rules and laws and celebrations and traditions if they didn't believe in us? And yet they asked this question, and the question is, would the world have been better off if there were no people, or is it good that there are human beings on the earth? So I'm going to ask you what you think. Are we better off that there are humans, or would the universe have been better off had humans never come along? Anybody want to comment on that?
God believed in the goodness of man, and obviously it comes there as a part of us, even with the world. We believe in the goodness of man ultimately.
Very nice. So Barbara says that we believe in the good. Well, I don't have to repeat. You have a microphone. Excellent. I can't say it better than you. Anybody else have thoughts about whether we're, but there's just an opinion question. There's no wrong or right answer.
What about all the fish, animals in the ocean?
What about them?
They're part of life.
Yes. Did I forget to mention that? I forgot to mention sea life. That's a good point. That going back for a minute, Ellen's saying when I talked about the elements in creation, the fish and the elements in the ocean. Ellen.
Yeah, I think that God is happy with the human beings. Thank you. With the human beings here on earth, and I think this is a good. This is a good thing that life, as we know it, exists. You know, it's really interesting you should say that, because the rabbis in the midrash that I'm talking about, they're not even asking if God is happy about it. They're asking if they're happy about it. But it sounds like you feel
Ellen, that God is happy with us and that you agree with God that it's good that we're here. Am I right? That's lovely. What do you want to say?
I just wanted to say when the people were deciding whether it was a good thing or bad, they were deciding for themselves too, right?
That's a good point. That's right. Yeah, wait, what's your name again? Just remind me. Elaine. God, that's a good point. In other words, that's brilliant. That if we're going to ask the question, is the world better off with human beings on it or not, that in a sense we also have to ask the question, is the world better off or worse off because of me personally? I don't mean Karen Bender. I mean, I would ask Karen Bender, you would ask Ellen Nelly, is that what you mean, Elaine? That's so clever. That's a really good point, because don't I have to believe that the world is better off with me? Because if not, I'm in big trouble. But what if I come to a different conclusion? What if I think that what if I think the world is better off with humanity, but not particularly with me? Or vice versa? What if I think I'm not bad, but boy, look at humans? So it's a very, very good point, Elaine. Any other comments on whether the world is better or worse off with human beings on it? What your opinion is on that? Any other? Penny wants to say something.
Wait.
Just look at everybody. We're here and happy, and God is pleased when He made us, and we are giving Him back a gift. Here, God, look at us. We're all Yiddish, and it's very good.
I know that you feel that God likes to see us together, and that it makes God really happy. That's beautiful, Penny. Any staff want to comment on this question? Oh, Doris is going to comment. Staff, you're welcome to comment on this if you want to. Go ahead, Doris.
I think that God is annoyed with us, and He's showing it by what's happening in the world today.
Wow.
With the flood and the earthquake and people dying and the diseases that are going on and the people losing their homes, and He's annoyed. He's very angry.
Wow, that's big. So you believe in a punishing God. Whoa, that's big, and that these things are happening because that God is annoyed with us. I think in the room, it's interesting to think, raise your hand if you think God is annoyed with us. Nobody else. That's interesting. Okay, Shoshana wants to comment. Josie, she's way back there. Thanks, Josie.
The question that you asked, whether God is happy with us or not.
Wait. Just to clarify, that's not the question I asked.
Yeah.
What I said is the rabbis asked the question. They didn't involve God in this. The rabbis asked, just to clarify, the rabbis asked the question if the world would have been better off without people, or if the world is better off having had people. I just want to clarify that, but go ahead.
The answer is yes and no. Yes, because of all the contributions and the good things that men and women have brought to the world and have done for the world. And it's no for all the terrible things that human beings create, whether it's pollution, whether it's radiation, whether it's all kinds of terrible diseases upon us and whatnot. And therefore, the answer, in my opinion, is yes and no.
This is such a sophisticated crowd. I can't believe the level of this conversation. It's a much higher level, by the way, than my study partner and I got into when we read it. Go ahead.
One second.
What'd you say?
I don't think it would be God that would be deciding some of those questions.
Well, that's a whole other discussion, which is what causes bad things to happen, and that's outside of my jurisdiction for this evening. But we'll return to that question. It's outside my jurisdiction only because we need to continue the service, but I love the question, and we will definitely get back to it. That is the question of what's called Theodicy. Does anybody want to know what the rabbis answered? It's very nuanced. The rabbis, just to repeat, asked the question, are we better off that human beings were put on the earth, or would we have been better off if they had not been put on the earth? And the answer that they give is a little bit of a surprise. The answer and by the way, when I say the rabbis, there were hundreds of rabbis over hundreds of years, and this is just one text. So I don't want you to think, well, this is what Judaism has to say. This is some rabbis having this question, and then they decide to answer. And the answer that they give in the Talmud is, actually, the world would have probably been better off if human beings had not been brought into the world. But given that we are here, we better do good with what we have. We better do good. Because God did put us here, and so we better be as good as we possibly can. I like your answers better. It's more optimistic. Maybe one of the rabbis was in a crabby mood that day. Great discussion, everyone. Ohoseh Shalom, Bimer Amav, page 6. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al Yisrael, ve'imru, imru aleinu. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Helen, hinemat. Everyone. How good it is to sit together as brothers and sisters. Come, my love, to welcome a bride. We will receive the face of Shabbat. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat. Nekabla, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom u'mevorach. Page 7. By the way, this means the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath in every generation, the very Sabbath that was invented in the very first Torah portion of the Torah known as Breshit. If we hadn't invented Shabbat, weeks could have been 20 days long. Who knows what would have happened? When I talk to children about this, I say, can you imagine if the Jews didn't invent Shabbat? Maybe you would have had school for 30 days in a row and 1 day off. We don't know. And they go, and I say, you're welcome. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat la'asot et Shabbat לדורות דברי עולם. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat la'asot et Shabbat לדורות דברי עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות דברי עולם. כי 6 ימים וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל We're going to conclude our gathering on page 8. With Adon Olam. And before we do, I want to thank our outstanding staff who do so much to help us get ready for this day. There's so much that goes on behind it. Yeah, you can go ahead and clap. I'll clap for the staff. There's so much that goes on. You know, we take for granted. Somebody baked that bread. Somebody did the purchasing of the supplies to bake the bread. Somebody made sure the bills got paid so that the oven was on when they baked the bread. Somebody set this up. Right? Somebody set up the equipment. All right. And of course, people made sure that you were here and helped you get here. And I don't like to call out any particular staff because so many people worked hard, but our activity staff shows up with so much enthusiasm. It's hard to not just recognize them for a moment for the great job that they do. Thank you to the activity staff of both Taper and JK. And if I could say a personal note, how much it means to me to have Josie back. We love you and we miss you, and we're so glad you're here and that your family should be well. Even though your staff did a great job in your absence because they're great and you motivate them and all that, but still, we need you and we're so glad you're here. Adon Olam, page 8. Asher malach b'terem kol Yetzir nivra Eit nasah Bechefso kol Azay melech Shemo nikra Ve'acharei Kichelot hakol לבדו ימלוך נורא הוא היה והוא עובר והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא את נעשה בחפצו כל הזין מלך שמו נקרא אחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא עובר הוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל זין מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא עובר בתפארה והוא היה והוא עובר בתפארה. The last stanza. ביעדו עקיד רוחי בעת אישן ולא אירה ואעירה ועם רוחי גביעתי. God is with me, so I won't be afraid. Adonai li ולא אירה. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל הזין מלך שמו נקרא אחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא עובר הוא יהיה בתפארה. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל הזין מלך שמו נקרא אחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא עובר בתפארה והוא היה והוא עובר בתפארה והוא היה והוא עובר בתפארה והוא היה והוא עובר בתפארה. Shabbat Shalom.